Discover the amazing last wish to rest with her mother, a touching twist revealed after years. Emily stood in the middle of her mother's old house, engulfed by memories that felt both warm and suffocating. Dusty rays of light poured through the cracked windows, illuminating the faded furniture that seemed to whisper stories that no longer belonged to her. She had inherited this charming but dilapidated home, a bitter reminder of her mother's sacrifices and her unwavering commitment to the town. Emily had made her choices, her nursing career was her all-consuming identity, and yet, she felt the weight of unfulfilled dreams strangle her spirit. With her mother's passing, the silence echoed louder than ever. Was it too late to question everything she had been taught about loyalty and sacrifice? Her heart raced with discomfort as she ventured into the attic, driven by an inexplicable pull, only to find her mother's journal buried beneath old boxes. It felt like an intrusion, an unwelcome opening to a past she wasn't meant to see. She hesitated, her pulse quickening. What dark truths would she uncover? As she carefully turned the fragile pages, regret seeped into her mind like ink on parchment, each letter revealing a betrayal, an old family secret whose ramifications stretched into the present. Images of her mother's vibrancy, now dulled, clashed violently with Emily's own responsibility-laden existence. The realization clawed at her, igniting a fissure of determination deep within. What had her mother sacrificed for this life? And was Emily's heavy silence in any way honoring her memory? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weight of the letters anchored her, Emily considered her mother's final wish to bring the truth to light. But what truth? The bitterness swirled in her gut as she recalled family gatherings, their laughter barely masking whispered tensions. Unshed tears blurred her vision as she wrestled with the idea that perhaps, all along, she had been living a lie. With the world outside in chaos, she turned to her former mentor, Mr. Jenkins, the only glimmer of hope she had. Together, they began sifting through records and faded photographs, each finding further entanglements in the convoluted narrative of betrayal and sacrifice. They were on the verge of something monumental. Yet the closer she came to the truth, the more Emily felt like a thread about to snap, straining under her mother's dreams and her own aspirations. Would revealing this past mean breaking the only thread of family loyalty she had left? Emily found herself tangled in impossible choices, like a patient teetering between healing and betrayal. A sudden realization struck her: her mother hadn't sacrificed everything for convenience. No, it was a choice made with a heavy heart. Would Emily's pursuit of her own dreams mean insulting her mother's legacy? As she looked into the old, cracked mirror of the house, the reflections of 2 generations met uneasily. With dawn approaching, she understood one undeniable truth: to reclaim her own identity, she would have to face the depths of her family's shadow. The nagging question remained: was she ready for the pain that would come with that confrontation? In the stillness of the morning, Emily felt a surge of hope amidst the turmoil, leaving her trembling on the brink of transformation, but with no idea of where it would lead. Emily's hand trembled as she closed the journal, its worn cover still echoing with her mother's densely packed thoughts and confessions. Tension coiled within her, almost suffocating in the confines of the attic. Each breath felt weighted with the task ahead. Folding the journal close to her chest, she stepped away from the stacks of boxes, the dust dancing in the shaft of morning light. The decisions looming felt monumental, the past now intertwined with her present like roots and soil. She needed clarity. Still clutching her mother's story, Emily descended the attic staircase into the chaos of the house. The walls, adorned with images of a life once vibrant, served as mute witnesses to the battles she faced. Emily's heart hammered furiously against her ribcage as she resolved that she would confront the complicated legacy bound to the name that echoed in her nursing career. Her primary focus shifted to gathering the strength to approach Mr. Jenkins. He had always been a steady anchor, perhaps he held insights that would help reconcile her struggle. It was time to unearth more than just records and photographs. She would need to challenge the narratives she'd built around herself since childhood, those stories that idolized her mother's sacrifices while shadowing her identity beneath a mantle of duty. The drive to his office felt longer than usual. Emily could feel the vibrancy of the world outside pressing against her window, alive with possibilities that felt just beyond her reach. What if she was capable of more than just nursing? The thought bloomed as she parked and stepped into the familiar lobby, the scent of aged paper and ink lifting her spirits momentarily. "Emily. It's good to see you," Mr. Jenkins said, looking up from his desk, his gray hair tousled as though he had been in deep contemplation. The warmth in his voice offered her an instant sense of belonging, like walking into sunlight after a darkened room. "Thank you for seeing me on such short notice," she replied, the tremor in her voice underscoring her rising urgency. "I've read my mother's journal. There are things I need to understand, the choices she made." Mr. Jenkins leaned back, intrigued. Choosing to share the burden of sacrifice is an age-old dilemma. "Tell me what you found." As Emily recounted the fragments of her mother's life, she felt the boundaries of her own narrative begin to shift. The more she spoke, the more her voice, usually laced with insecurity, grew confident. She revealed the secrets of betrayal, the family tensions, and the deep-rooted ideals that fueled her mother's decisions. Each acknowledgement felt like peeling away the layers of her own identity, exposing raw truths she had buried in her role as a caretaker. "I've been so focused on my career that I've forgotten to consider what I want," she confessed, the admission escaping her lips unbidden. "And what do you want, Emily?" His question was a well-placed anchor, grounding her in the stormy sea of realizations. "I want to explore who I am beyond the title of a nurse. I want to honor my mother's sacrifices by choosing a path that reflects my own desires." A beat of silence followed, a reflection of their shared understanding. In that instant, she felt unburdened, as though the heavy weight of familial loyalty transformed into support. As she left the office, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that converged with her new resolve. She wasn't merely stepping into a future pretending to follow her mother's worn path, she was forging her own. Later that night, while reviewing the journal again, Emily's heart raced at the tight knot of anticipation in her chest. She would return to the buried truths of her mother for the second time, prepared not just to unearth memories but to reshape her own future. With the pen poised above blank pages, she acknowledged that understanding would lead to transformation. Was she truly ready to redefine what family loyalty meant on her terms? The pivotal moment had arrived. A confrontation with the ghosts of the past awaited. But the question lingered: would the truth set her free or further entangle her in the familial web? Emily stared at the blank pages before her, her hand stilled above the line waiting for words to follow. The questions swirled in her mind, taunting and stirring with the memory of her mother's voice, a melody now caught between truth and expectation. Every time she thought of penning her own desires, the shadow of her lineage obscured her vision, tightening its grip as if to say, "This is where you belong." Yet, in the quiet chamber of her mind, a much louder call persisted, urging her to step beyond the confines of duty. Foundations of her self-identity felt inadequate, cracked, beneath the weight of newly discovered truths. Emily dropped her pen. The time had come not merely to reflect but to act. She needed to confront more than memories, she must challenge the paradigms set by generations of women before her, including her mother. The night thickened outside her window, casting her room into silhouette. She recalled a conversation with Mr. Jenkins earlier: choosing to define yourself is perhaps the greatest gift you can give to your lineage. His words resonated, embedding themselves within her consciousness like seeds waiting for the right soil to flourish. She wandered into the kitchen, seeking warmth in the ritual of making tea. The kettle whistled as steam curled into the air, a momentary distraction from the growing tumult inside her. Reflected in the glass, she barely recognized the woman staring back, eyes flickering with newfound resolve yet clouded with uncertainty. Her reflection beckoned her to push further, to probe into the heart of her past and explore the fragile threads weaving her family's narrative. That night she opened her laptop, a portal to possibilities waiting beyond her home. A quiet determination settled around her like a cloak, wrapping her in the energy to search for a way to redefine her narrative. Every click of the keyboard echoed in the silence, marking moments of discovery and clarity. Emily found herself researching pathways that intertwined medicine with advocacy, careers that allowed her not only to heal but to enact change within the healthcare system. What would it look like to step forward, not as a nurse tethered to the past, but as an innovator carving her own space? Her heart raced with the prospect. Hours slipped by unnoticed, filled with journal articles and applications for programs tailored for advanced nursing. At dawn, she realized the first step lay in education, yet another stepping stone to understanding what her mother might have never explored, the joy of personal ambition unencumbered by familial expectations. Not only was she unearthing her mother's legacy, but she was also crafting her own, a fusion of love and ambition woven with intention, yet with every keystroke, a nagging thought persisted: would her journey diminish her mother's sacrifices? The tension lay curled within her, a constant struggle to balance the manifestation of her newfound identity with the reverberations of her mother's choices. Restlessness filled her as she stepped onto her porch. The city hummed beneath a glowing dawn. She knew confronting this inner turmoil required more than exploration, it required a stake in her own values. The fire of determination ignited above all, and within her, something crucial was transforming. In that ethereal haze of twilight, she committed herself to a path less traveled. The gap between her past and her burgeoning future seemed wide, but the winds felt favorable. The question loomed larger than before: how could she honor her mother while exploring the freedom to live authentically? And before her lay the task of confronting the deep-rooted family values she had inherited. What would her first step be? As she stared down the path, an unexpected visitor appeared at her door, an embodiment of the past, a figure she dreaded and hoped to see again. The answer waited behind that door, both a confrontation and an unexpected reckoning. Emily's breath caught as she opened the door, revealing a figure she had long wished to confront yet feared beyond words. Standing there was her estranged aunt, Martha, a woman who had long been a ghost in the shadows of Emily's family lore. The last time they had spoken, silence draped an emotional chasm that felt insurmountable. Now, with the early light accentuating the tension in the air, there she was, an unexpected presence beckoning Emily to address her past head-on. Emily, Martha's voice trembled, a mixture of regret and hope lacing her tone. Can we talk? Emily's mind raced, the internal dialogue battling between the hunger for resolution and the instinct to retreat. Emerging from the doorway, she crossed her arms, subconsciously bracing herself against whatever revelations might follow. What do you want, Martha? Her aunt shifted, the morning light softening the lines of her face but failing to obscure the pain that had lingered between them for years. I came to share something about your mother, something she hoped you would discover. The word struck Emily like a punch to the gut, layered with the weight of unasked questions and unspoken truths. She motioned for Martha to enter, her heart beating rapidly with a mix of apprehension and anticipation. As they moved to the kitchen, silence wrapped around them like a shroud. As they settled, Martha took a deep breath. You deserve to know your mother's final wishes. She wanted you to have her journals where she poured her dreams and aspirations. Emily's pulse quickened. The journals, long thought to be myth, were now uncannily tangible. Her mother had kept them secret, allowing family narratives to spiral unchallenged. Why didn't you give them to me before? She asked, an edge coating her voice. The bitterness of lost time rushed forth, propelled by the urgency of understanding. Martha's gaze softened. She feared you might not understand. That you would feel burdened by her choices. But more than anything, she loved you and wanted you to find your own path. The implications loomed large, challenging the barriers Emily had erected around her understanding of loyalty and legacy. How could she reconcile the woman she wished to honor with the yearning to forge a unique identity? Thoughts collided inside her, each one an urgent call to dissect the contradictions of her family's past. What did she write? Emily pressed, desperate for an answer yet terrified of the truth it could unveil. She spoke of her dreams, her fears, her wishes for you, Martha said, her voice breaking. She wanted to be a doctor but felt trapped by her duty to the family. She feared she would push you away if she let you pursue your own ambitions. Emily felt the ground shift beneath her as she processed the inward struggle her mother had endured, one that mirrored her own. It was an echo of self-sacrifice, a shadow faintly reflecting the very ideals that had molded Emily's own hesitations. "I want those journals," Emily stated firmly, breath hitching. "I want to understand." In that moment, a determination surged, a commitment to not only learn from her mother's life but to live her own fully, embracing the contradictions and challenges. Martha nodded, visibly relieved yet somber. "I have them here. They're waiting for you. But remember, this journey is yours to navigate." As they delved into the stacks of journals, Emily felt a sense of urgency. The weight of new knowledge hung in the air like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Yet even as she prepared to unwrap her mother's essence, a deep-seated fear loomed. Would the next page reveal a truth capable of shattering everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and identity? With trembling hands, Emily opened the first journal, an invitation to step deeper into a labyrinth of her mother's choices. What awaited her between those lines could either solidify her quest or send her spiraling into uncharted territory. The question now lingered ominously: how would these revelations shape the woman she aspired to become? Would she emerge empowered or become ensnared by the weight of expectations once more? As she turned the page, the silence in the room thickened, laden with the promise of discovery and the potential for transformation. Emily's fingers trembled as she turned the delicate pages of the first journal, the ink a portal into her mother's thoughts and emotions. Each line beckoned her closer, weaving a tapestry of long-buried dreams and unfulfilled aspirations, contrasting sharply with the life Emily had always known. With each word, she could feel the gravity of her mother's choices, the weight of expectations resting heavily on her shoulders. The words flowed like whispers of a longing that transcended time. Her mother's bold script revealed a woman who had grappled with her identity, anxious of pushing the family away while simultaneously yearning for more. In those intimate reflections, Emily saw shadows of herself: fears of inadequacy, the relentless quest for acceptance, the battle between duty and desire. "I always wanted to be a doctor," the journal declared boldly, as if the simple phrase had been waiting an eternity for liberation. But as the lines unfolded, frustration laced through her mother's ambitions. "Family demands eclipsed my dreams. I wanted to guide you towards your passions, but my fears became chains." A rush of emotions collided within her, a recognition of her mother's sacrifices igniting a deep sense of motivation. Suddenly, the allure of following her own path felt stronger than the ties that had previously bound her. In acknowledging her mother's unfulfilled dreams, Emily found inspiration to confront her own. "What if I found a way to honor you instead?" Emily whispered to herself, surprised by the confidence in her own voice. "What if I could embrace both? My passions and my legacy?" The resolve solidified within her, becoming a force that pushed back against years of silence. Her mother hadn't merely been a figure of loss, she had provided Emily with a blueprint, a template through which to weave her own story, one that embraced both selfhood and familial love. As Emily continued to delve into the pages, another entry drew her in. The words swirled with hope: her mother's desire to break free from the constraints of expectation, to pursue a career that could change lives. "If only I could guide you to be unapologetically yourself," her mother had written. The thought resonated deeply, intertwining with Emily's fears of following in her mother's footsteps or resonating beyond them. These contradictions, the yearning for familial connection and the pursuit of individuality, turned into a mirror, prompting Emily to confront her own trajectory. What had held her back? The need for approval? The fear of disappointment? Unlocking her mother's voice filled her with a sense of urgency. It was a call not just to confront her history but to reshape it. "Every sacrifice your mother made was driven by a fierce love," Martha said softly from across the table, her eyes glistening with understanding. "They were not chains, but lessons on the strength it takes to follow your heart." Emily looked at her aunt, realizing that this moment held a deeper significance. It was the start of their own journey toward reconciliation. The air felt lighter, a shared commitment to honor the past while fostering new beginnings. "I want to make choices for me," not just as a reflection of what has been expected, she declared, her voice steadier now. As she turned the final page of the first journal, a sense of clarity washed over her. Each line had equipped her with the courage to confront the tumult within and beyond. She was no longer merely a product of her mother's choices, but an architect of her own destiny. But the journey was just beginning. Distant echoes of what lay ahead remained undiscovered, trials waiting to unfold, connections to navigate, and the looming question of whether she could truly embody her mother's spirit while firmly standing in her own truth. What challenges awaited her in reconciling those dualities? Could she truly harness her mother's dreams without losing sight of her own ambitions? As the weight of the next journal loomed, Emily felt the stirrings of both excitement and dread. This journey demanded more than reflection, it called for action, decisions that could reshape her entire existence. The turning of the next page would reveal not only more about her mother but also the profound potential within herself. She inhaled deeply, bracing for the impact of the revelations ahead, knowing that the time had come to face the ghosts of her lineage and truly embrace who she was meant to become. The spine of the next journal creaked as Emily opened it, the familiar scent of aged paper pulling her deeper into her mother's world. The pages were filled with a hurried scrawl, each entry reflecting a tumult of emotions ranging from hope to despair. Emily's heart raced as she relished the thought of what insights awaited her. This would not just be a continuation of her mother's story but a chance for Emily to carve her own narrative. As she immersed herself in the younger version of her mother's life, she found vivid accounts of medical school, the late-night study sessions, the exhilaration of saving lives, and the insurmountable challenges of juggling aspirations with societal expectations. "I was terrified of failure, yet the dream was worth every sleepless night," her mother had written. The reiteration of her dream felt like an echo of Emily's ambitions, a possibility for her own dreams coming alive, but soon, the tone shifted, revealing the ambivalence lurking beneath her mother's ambition. "Every time I put on my white coat, I fear I'm drifting away from my family," one entry read, each word steeped in the pain of sacrifice. The weight of those unfulfilled dreams pressed on Emily's chest. She felt as if she was straddling a chasm. One side represented her mother's abandoned aspirations, and the other, her own burgeoning potential. Is it possible to desire both? She asked herself, acutely aware of the murky waters that accompanied such sentiments. Could she pursue a career in medicine while nurturing her family ties? The question churned within her, an intricate dance between ambition and duty. She yearned to emulate her mother's bravery but was terrified of becoming trapped by her dreams, much like her mother had been. Across the table, Martha's gaze fixated on Emily, offering silent encouragement. "You don't have to follow the same path, it can be your own," she stated, her voice grounded in wisdom and understanding. But navigating independence while respecting her mother's sacrifices felt like walking through fog. In the next entry, Emily's mother described a decisive moment that had driven her away from medicine, the birth of Emily. "My heart swelled with love, but my dreams began to fade." The words imprinted a stark reality onto Emily's consciousness. It was a harsh reminder of the ease with which aspirations could be set aside for loyalty. Yet, this was not merely a tale of abandonment, it was a framework of parental love. Mixed emotions surged inside Emily: frustration, admiration, and an unsettling sense of vulnerability washed over her. "I don't want to relinquish my identity," she declared internally. It was a turning point. She wouldn't allow the struggle to govern her choices. This was the moment she realized her mother had left a repository of strength and resilience, poised to empower her to forge ahead. Determination bubbled beneath her skin, igniting a flicker of rebellion against the constraining narratives clamoring for her attention. "I can achieve more than just following in your footsteps," she whispered, nearly daring herself to believe. As the ink blurred slightly, heavy with emotion now mingled with newfound resolve, Emily understood that honoring her mother didn't mean sacrificing her own ambitions. It required a delicate balance of honoring the past while strategizing for the future. Just as clarity washed over her, she came across a final line in the journal that sent shivers down her spine. "My dearest wish is that you grow into your dreams, unencumbered by the fear of losing the love we have." The message landed heavy in her heart, tugging at her emotions, and the underlying challenge struck a resonant chord within her. What would it mean to reclaim those lost dreams, not just for herself, but in honoring the spirit of her mother? Before she could reflect too deeply, an unexpected sound, a soft thud, broke through the stillness of the room, drawing her back to reality. Emily's heartbeat quickened, and her breath hitched. What lay beyond this journal could shatter or build upon everything she had come to. No. The true revelation was within reach, teetering on the edge of discovery. What secrets did those unturned pages hold? Would they illuminate the path forward or deepen the chasm she so desperately sought to bridge? With trembling hands, she prepared to unlock the next layer of her journey, uncertain and enchanted by the magic that awaited her. As Emily's mind raced, she recalled the soft thud echoing through the stillness. With newfound purpose, she set the journal aside and gathered her resolve. The echo was a reminder that change wasn't a distant concept, it lived within her core, pulsing like a heartbeat. She stood up, brushing the dust from her jeans and smoothing her sweater, a new determination radiating from her. The messiness of emotions layered within her felt strangely comforting as she stepped out of her mother's room. A voice whispered in her ear, urging her to confront the chapters of her life she had previously avoided, those unturned pages that contained the secrets of not just her mother's life, but Emily's own unrealized aspirations. The weight of responsibility loomed large as she walked to the living room where Martha sat, immersed in an old newspaper. The sunlight filtered through the windows, spilling golden warmth around them. Emily felt different, lighter somehow, as if the discovery of the journal had peeled back some weight that had settled on her shoulders over the years. Martha looked up, her expression blending curiosity with a hint of concern. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said lightly, but Emily sensed the genuine inquiry in her tone. "It's my mother, her journals," Emily began, her voice steady, yet layered with emotion. "They're both heartbreaking and exhilarating. It's like I've stumbled into a treasure map of sorts. For the first time, I feel like I'm not just carrying her past, but maybe I'm starting to see my own path." Martha closed the newspaper and leaned forward, her eyes alight with interest. "What do you mean?" "I've always felt caught in a tangle, you know. Tethered to my mother's sacrifices while wanting to honor my own ambitions. Now, it feels like it's all turning. I can honor her by pursuing my dream in medicine, but in a way that's genuine to me," Emily explained, her heart racing with the possibility. Martha nodded, encouraging her to dig deeper. "What's your next step, then? What does that dream of yours look like?" Emily paused, glancing around the room, the family pictures hanging on the walls, the warmth of home enveloping her. She often overlooked the dreams she held close, locked behind the fear of failing, just as her mother had. "I have to face the fear directly. I'm going to volunteer at the hospital next week. I want to truly see what the life of a medical professional entails," she declared, each word solidifying her resolve. The thought sent a surge of adrenaline coursing through her. But beneath that excitement lay an undercurrent of doubt. Could she reconcile the vision of a career that demanded endless hours with the nurturing relationships she valued? Martha sensed her hesitation. "Emily, you have to trust yourself. If you let those fears dictate your choices, how can you embrace the path you're meant to walk?" "How do I not let fear steer me?" Emily countered, her resolve flaring and flickering. The analogy of walking through fog illuminated in her thoughts again this time. It wasn't an obstacle, it was a process. She needed to navigate this uncertainty on her own terms. "I think you start by acknowledging it, every bit of fear and uncertainty. Embrace what you feel, Emily, then let it guide you to the truth of what you really want," Martha remarked, her voice steady. "Those dreams you hold aren't just echoes of your mother's. They are yours, shaped by your experiences and aspirations." A sense of clarity washed over Emily, mingling with her determination. The fog was shifting, revealing glimmers of the path ahead. What lay beyond her current fears was still unknown, but now it pulsed with potential. As Emily pivoted back to the journaling archives, a hidden energy thrummed in her veins. She was ready to unearth the hidden pages, the secrets that lay beyond the surface. But what awaited her in the next entry could alter everything she thought she knew about herself and her lineage. Would those pages reveal a network of dreams once forgotten, or unveil light-imbued revelations that would arm her for the journey ahead? Emily's yearning for clarity intensified, her heart racing with anticipation as she ventured forward into exploration, prepared to grapple with the fragments of her mother's legacy and her own emerging aspirations. What awaited could either sever her ties to the past or stretch them into a transformative new light. Emily found herself immersed in the quiet sanctuary of her mother's old study, the air thick with unsaid words and unfulfilled dreams. The journal beckoned, each worn page a portal to the life her mother built and the aspirations she had set aside. As she sat down, Emily felt an unexpected surge of urgency. This was the moment, the critical juncture where she could unearth a lineage of dreams and, perhaps, redefine her own. With gentle care, she opened the journal to a new entry and began to read. The handwriting, slightly smudged and hurried, poured emotions onto the pages, riddles of hopes, disappointments, and dreams that had been set aside like dusty books on a neglected shelf. Emily traced the letters with her fingers, feeling a deep sense of connection swell within her. Her mother's struggles mirrored her own, a testament to shared fears and the fragile threads of ambition. March 5, 1997. I've always wanted to be a doctor, it read, but life has taught me to prioritize. I thought giving up my dream was the only way to provide for my family. Yet, I feel a void, an unfulfilled space where passion should thrive. The emotional weight of those words landed heavily in the pit of Emily's stomach. Was her mother's renunciation a blueprint for Emily's path, too? A voice in Emily's mind resisted, insisting that she could reclaim her mother's unfulfilled dreams, while disentangling her own aspirations. It was the key to healing, a chance to break the cycle of yielding to expectations. She shifted forward, the pages flipping to a later entry. Torn between fascination and fear, she pressed onward through the words, which now shimmered with a deeper understanding. Today, I spoke to Mrs. Green about community service at the hospital. As daunting as it seems, I can't shake the thrill of possibility, her mother had written, a ghost of excitement dancing across the lines. I want to be a healer, not just a mother. I need more. Emily's breath caught as the implications washed over her. Her mother had hesitated but still sought connection to a life once envisioned. This glimmer of rebellion against conformity lit a fire within Emily. Her determination grew. She was not only honoring her mother's sacrifice but now could feel that old flame linking them both, igniting with possibilities of her own. Yet, with that fire came doubt, feeding on her fears of failure amidst the realities of a rigorous medical path. Emily's curiosity quickly turned inward. What did the pursuit of these dreams truly demand, and what would be lost along the way? Over lunch with Martha, who listened intently, Emily shared her new revelations. What I read today, it was as if my mother was living through me. All her hesitations, her passions, they're alive in my veins, she admitted. But now, torn between admiration and fear, I wonder, what if I fail? What if I become locked in the same cycle? Martha contemplated her words, her brow furrowed. But Emily, you're not your mother. You have the chance to learn from her choices without repeating them. What support do you see for yourself while pursuing medicine? That's the challenge, Emily replied, stirring her coffee. I want to do this for myself but still be present for my family. Can I strike a balance? Martha nodded slowly, her voice measured. You'll need to find a rhythm that supports both your ambitions and your loved ones. Just as your mother sought fulfillment, you must also define what that looks like for you. As their conversation swirled around her, Emily was struck by a revelation. The road ahead was not a straight shot, it meandered, offering bends and turns that created space for both commitment and self-care. And within that revelation lay her answer, a blend of ambition and nurturing relationships. Returning home that evening, Emily's mind teemed with newfound clarity. The next days would not just be about volunteering, they would be about who she could become amidst the chaos of life's demands. As she gazed out the window into the tranquil night, ghosts of doubt fluttered at the edges of her thoughts. But it was time to embrace them, to confront them head-on. She was ready to dive deeper into the future, understanding that such exploration would come with both excitement and fear. And as she drifted off to sleep, a scribbled note lay beside her, an invitation to the hospital where a shadow of her dreams awaited. Little did she know, the following day would present an unexpected encounter that could reshape everything she thought about her journey, testing her resolve like never before. Emily awoke the next morning with a palpable sense of anticipation. The hospital's name echoed through her mind like a mantra, instilling both a thrill of excitement and a prickle of trepidation. Today wouldn't just be another step. It was a leap into her future and a confrontation with the shadows of her mother's life. Arriving at the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic struck her, grounding her in a reality that felt simultaneously foreign and strangely familiar. She walked through the halls, observing the hurried movements of the staff and the quiet looks of concern on patients' faces. A surge of adrenaline coursed through her. She wanted to dive into this world, to feel fully alive amid the chaos. After checking in, she was led to a volunteering orientation. The room was filled with eager faces, all of whom seemed to radiate hope. As the speaker began discussing the various roles and responsibilities, Emily felt an urge to contribute that consumed her. Yet, the heavy weight of her mother's words loomed over her, a reminder of aspirations intertwined with sacrifice. Do I truly belong here? She questioned silently, glancing at the others. She noticed a young woman intently taking notes, the fire of determination behind her eyes mirroring Emily's own. In that moment, she realized they were all fighting their battles, wrestling their fears, and clinging to aspirations entwined with uncertainty. Later, while taking a tour of the facility, she stumbled upon a room filled with stories pinned to a board, stories of patients and volunteers alike. One particular story caught her attention. A nurse shared how a young girl inspired her to pursue medicine after battling a chronic illness. The girl's bravery illuminated the walls of her journey, a poignant reminder of why she wanted to serve. Emily's heart raced as a realization washed over her. This wasn't merely about learning the day-to-day operations of the hospital, it was about the impact of compassion and connection. She felt a shifting within, a pull toward embracing her identity as a potential healer, and she longed to start that journey now. During a break, she found herself sitting next to the girl from the orientation, whose name she later learned to be Sarah. They shared stories, and Emily couldn't help but be astounded by Sarah's resilience. I never thought I'd want to be a doctor, Sarah admitted, her voice steady. But after experiencing the care I received, I realized that healing others is where my heart lies. And I'm terrified but also excited to pursue it. In that moment, Emily began to see the alignment of her fears and aspirations. What if we could support each other? A path that reminds us why we started, through the fears and the doubts, she suggested, her words sweetened with newfound determination. They exchanged numbers, promising to keep each other anchored amidst the rising waves of their ambitions. As she continued her orientation, Emily's mind raced with possibility. She envisioned a life radiating with purpose and fulfillment, ignited by the very moments that had once paralyzed her with doubt. The possibility of making a difference, both in her life and in others, began to take solid form. Yet, as the day progressed, an unnerving thought burrowed into her mind. What if she didn't measure up? What if the cycle was truly inescapable? The specter of her mother's sacrifices flickered, reminding her of the fine line she tread in pursuing her dreams. Eventually, she was handed her first assignment to work alongside experienced nurses in the pediatric unit. As she transitioned into this role, an unrelenting fear resurfaced. Could I manage to face those same doubts that crippled my mother? The weight was overwhelming, threatening to pull her back into the shadows, but amidst that uncertainty, a voice ignited within her, "You are not her." Determined to keep moving forward, she resolved to confront every challenge head-on. The flicker of her mother's dreams, alongside her own, ignited the path ahead. With Sarah's support, Emily felt the small embers of her fortitude grow brighter, reshaping her perspective on her journey ahead. Yet, just as she began to navigate this new terrain, a sudden interruption brought her world crashing down. An unexpected confrontation with an influential surgeon, a daunting figure from her past, would challenge everything she believed about herself. Would she rise to face it, or would her fears tie her down once again? The sterile smell of antiseptic intensified as Emily stood before the pediatric unit, her heart racing. Clenching her fists, she felt the weight of her mother's aspirations, but this was her own journey. With each step, a sense of purpose began to envelop her, radiating like warmth from within. Yet, the shadows of her mother's regrets tiptoed behind her, a constant reminder of the fine line between ambition and familial loyalty. The warmth of the day faded as Emily began her shift. She observed the experienced nurses, their deft movements a blend of skill and compassion while they cared for the young patients. Each moment felt monumental, a chance to engage with life on a deeper level. The whispers of potential filled the hall, encouraging her to embrace her fears and channel them into a force for good. During her first round, she encountered a little boy, Sam, with a bright smile that immediately melted her apprehensions. As she interacted with him, a wave of clarity washed over Emily. This was not merely a job, it was a calling. Working alongside the nurses, she found joy in learning about patient care and gaining insights from their experiences, yet, in the midst of triumph, the haunting reminders of her mother's fears crept in. What if she faltered? What if her aspirations crumbled under the weight of expectation? As Emily submerged herself in the tasks at hand, she battled the nagging doubts that had followed her. Confronting these fears demanded a new level of resilience, one that her mother had wished for her, yet she had shied away from for years. The pivotal moment arrived unexpectedly one late afternoon. The air in the unit shifted. Entering the ward was Dr. Evans, the prominent surgeon renowned for his excellence but notorious for his gruff demeanor. Emily had always looked up to him but felt a disquieting chill as he scanned the room. Their paths crossed as he swept his gaze across the staff, landing on Emily with a surprising intensity. The memories of his past disapproval crawled into her mind, igniting an apprehension within her. "Are you new here?" he questioned, his tone sharp. "Yes, Dr. Evans," she replied, her voice steady but her heart hammering. "I'm Emily, and I'm a volunteer." "If you want to make a difference, you need to learn from the best," he interrupted, his eyes narrowing. "Mediocrity won't earn you respect here." The comment lingered like ice in the air. Emily desperately sought to defend her aspirations, yet his presence loomed over her like a specter. Memories flooded back of when she had stood in awe of his skills, yet today, he threatened to eclipse her confidence. The clash of her insecurity against the hope she had begun to nurture caused her to stiffen. This was her moment. She could either retreat to shadows or rise to the challenge. Gripping the edge of the counter, Emily made her decision. "Respect is earned, Dr. Evans. I intend to learn, not just from you, but from everyone around me. This role means more to me than titles, it's about connecting with others and healing." The tension in the room shifted. Dr. Evans regarded her with a newfound curiosity, his expression softening just a fraction. "Prove it, then. Show me you have what it takes," he commanded, his tone less scathing but still authoritative. Internal fires ignited as he walked away. Emily felt invigorated. She was no longer tethered to self-doubt. She had finally stepped into her own identity, a blend of ambition and compassion, separate yet inextricably linked to her mother's journey. Days turned into weeks as Emily navigated the complexities of her role. Each shift transformed her. She learned from victories and mistakes, forging bonds with both patients and seasoned nurses alike. The multifaceted responsibilities were daunting, yet they filled her spirit with realization and growth. As she honed her skills and forged new connections, her mother's legacy fueled her. In moments of doubt, she reflected on those precious journal entries, reminding herself that dreams were worth fighting for, they were worth pursuing with unrelenting passion. Her first personal achievement crystallized at her performance review. Dr. Evans, with a mix of respect and surprise, commended her progress. "You've earned your place here, Emily. Keep challenging yourself, and remember you bring a unique perspective. Your mother would be proud," he acknowledged, a glimmer of recognition in his eyes. "Thank you. That means more than you know," she replied, feeling the weight of validation wash over her. In that moment, clarity was achieved. Emily had successfully carved a niche that balanced reverence for her past with a bright future, one that embraced her mother's spirit of healing while aspiring towards her individual dreams. She dared to dream vividly. Emily envisioned a future where she did not simply carry the burdens of legacy but transformed them into a mission of impact, a career that intertwined advocacy and healing. Reflecting on her mother's silent wishes, she felt the connection deepening, woven into the fabric of her own ambitions. She wasn't merely retracing her mother's footsteps, she shifted the narrative altogether, navigating the path of her choosing. The question of her journey's value remained vibrant in her heart. Could she truly honor her mother while embracing her own independence? Each affirmation led to deeper resilience, reshaping her destiny. Emily stood taller, fortified with recognition and purpose. The shadows now faded, replaced by the illumination of her mother's love and guidance. She was ready to embrace the formation of her identity, to join the fight for others, an innovator within the healthcare system who definitively honored the past while giving life to the future. The final struggle awakened her heartbeat, it brought forth the weight of her mother's legacy into clarity. The cycle of sacrifice transformed into purpose, and as she gazed into the horizon, a sense of satisfaction surged within her. The time had arrived for her journey to unveil its transformative power fully. She rose with conviction, ready to create waves of impact not just for herself, but for countless others who dared to dream in the face of legacy and expectation. To all of you reading Emily's story, seize the moment. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire your own journey. There's power in these narratives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You need to show your support. Comment below with your thoughts and theories. What did Emily discover that spoke to you? And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting conclusion. Your action is the heartbeat of this community. Don't wait even one more second, the next chapter awaits.